Okay, quick music disclaimer here. I do not own the rights to this music, which belongs to the rightful owner, who is the intoxicating mind of Dr. Frankenstein. So he made my intro and my outro, and I hope you guys enjoy. Check them out on Spotify and YouTube, and no copyright infringement is intended. Have a good day.
A clear choice of good versus evil, of right versus wrong.
Twisted Tales.
Welcome back to Twisted Tales, folks. Thanks for tuning back in. Now, I just want to say, thanks for all the follows, the likes, and, it's pretty cool seeing, my podcast played, on different locations around the world. It's pretty sweet, and I thank you for that. I mean, this is just something I started to kill some time from work, right? And, it's, it's still going, so must be doing something, right? So today's little tale, we're going to talk about the murder of Jeremy Cook. Now, Jeremy Cook had just moved to London, Ontario, from Brampton, Ontario. The young man was going to pursue a career in carpentry. Now, this kid was amazing at his trade. Everyone who knew him had mentioned how good his work was. And, he was definitely going places. He graduated from Brampton's Notre Dame High School with plans of attending Fanshawe College. And even during all his hard schoolwork, he found time for his passion. And that's all anybody can ask for, right? He actually owned his own woodworking company. And he won a gold medal in the 2014 Dufferin Peel Skills Competition in Canada. And that's pretty much the reason that he moved to London, Ontario, because he was actually looking for work as a carpentry apprentice. But one night, he accidentally misplaced his cell phone. And that set off a bunch of horrific events. And we'll get into that in just a moment. Our friend Jeremy was just a guy with a positive attitude anywhere he went. And he was doing good in life. He was hardworking in school. His woodworking shit was going forward. And he even played hockey growing up, too. Like any person would growing up. There's always activities going on. So his former friends and teammates remember that he always had a smile on his face. And he spent a lot of time with his family, and even his sister he was really close with. And one night him and his sister had gone out to celebrate a friend's birthday at Jack's. Now, Jack's is actually a downtown bar in London, Ontario. So they got a cab, and he accidentally left his cell phone in the back seat of the cab on the way to the bar. But he didn't notice this until they returned home later that night. Now, quick thinking, he actually used the app on the iPhone to pinpoint the exact location of his device. So the app had led Carl and Jeremy to a parking lot located in the Huron and Highbury area, and this wasn't far from their house. They had driven into the parking lot where a 2004 silver four-door Mazda 6 had been parked. Now, during the convo with the men about the cell phone, a third person exited the Mazda, and he walked away from the confrontation. So, Cook had asked the men if they'd seen a cell phone around. Now, the two men left in the car were Mohammed Sale and Muhab Sultan. So, Sale made a sly remark for them to call the missing cell phone. And when the call was made to the phone, Sale answered it while sitting on the passenger seat. And he told the two that it wasn't their cell phone. And, this is where things kind of got heated up. I mean, up until this point, it was a slightly peaceful interaction. During the little confrontation, Sale kind of got a little bit aggressive. So he asked Kayla to punch in the iPhone's password pin to claim that the phone did indeed belong to her brother. So when she complied and entered the pin, Sale had a death grip on the phone, and the guy who was driving, Muhab Sultan, began to rev the car's engine, kind of like giving a brief warning to Kayla. Now the car went forward and knocked Kayla back. Her brother Jeremy had then grabbed the car with both hands and lifted his legs as the car sped off out in the distance up the road. And this would be the last time she'd see her brother alive. Now, witnesses recall seeing a speeding car with Cook clung to the side, and it raced up Highbury Avenue until it had drove into a nearby Shoppers Drug Mart plaza. And then two loud bangs were heard, and all the witnesses heard people saying, like, drive, drive. And shortly after, followed by somebody crying out for help, and were definitely in pain. And Jeremy was struck by 2 bullets. One had fractured his shoulder, and the other struck him in the chest. Autopsy results have revealed that the second shot had destroyed the blood vessels to his heart, and broken glass from the car was also found at the scene. And this matched up with the getaway Mazda 6, so they left Jeremy to die in the parking lot, and the poor kid had died due to these circumstances. And strangers had ran to the scene to help Jeremy, and one guy rolled him over to get a pulse. But like, there's some good people in this world, let me tell you, right? Like, to do all that for that kid. And about a half a kilometer back, his sister Kayla was in a panic. She dialing 911 and, was speeding after the car and Jeremy. But she didn't know what happened yet. But police eventually caught up to her while her phone was still tracking her brother's phone. So police found the car, but the 2 men fled the scene. The car had ended up crashing into a fence, totally disabling the vehicle. Now, upon searching the car, they noticed the back window was completely broken, a McDonald's cup was in the cup holder, and they found a gold shell casing that was found inside the vehicle. And the iPhone had been chucked out the window, not far from the parking lot. Shortly after paramedics arrived on the scene, they tried to revive Cook, but they were unsuccessful, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. The 2 men fled the scene pretty quickly, actually being seen by a shit ton of witnesses. So Muhammad had ran to a nearby house. He woke up a woman from bed stating that he was lost, he needed a cab, and he got in a huge fight with his girlfriend, and she kicked him out of the car. And believing his story, she let him use the phone, he got his cab, and Muhab was actually still on the run, all while the other guy got away. So, Mr. Sultan there, he had been found about 10 days later, on June 27th. The police found him at a Byward market in downtown Ottawa. He was driving an unregistered vehicle, and he fled in the car. He actually struck some cops that were driving on bikes, injuring one of them. And when officers finally caught up to him, they were going to arrest him and another man in the car with him. I guess maybe an accomplice, maybe, or just a buddy, wrong place, wrong time kind of shit. But Sultan escaped on foot, and they found him hiding in a little shed. And the owner of the house there seen him run into the shed. He also called police, told him of the man hiding in a shed, and eventually he ran off again when police kind of closed in. He ran towards the Rideau River. Now, when police got to the river, Sultan screamed for help, because the stupid fuck just jumped right in there. And he was located in the middle of the river at that time. So police jumped in to save him, but he disappeared under the water before they could catch him. Now, Sultan's body was found 3 days later by police divers. A news release about the drowning said that that his death had been a product of his own misadventure. Just a shitty, ill-advised decision to avoid police apprehension. Now, Mohammed Sale had become wanted on a second-degree murder charge. He was also considered armed and dangerous. Now, once the arrest warrant was issued, Sale eventually turned himself into police custody. And, it was just wicked shady. He exited London, Ontario in a hurry, checked his phones for texts, and the police went through his texts, and they found some texts to his dad, trying to get him to wire him some money, all while he was trying to configure an alibi while he was hiding in Ottawa. So, when everything shook down, court was gathering evidence, Sale got to sit in jail while awaiting trial, and evidence was gathered. So the courtroom had to figure out which one of the two fired the gun, since one guy was alive, one guy was dead. Now, the jury was asked if they were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that Sale pulled the trigger. So this was the main issue at the trial. It was who pulled the trigger, Sultan or Sale. So after about 2 hours of deliberating, the jury of 6 men and 6 women found Sale not guilty on the charge he faced. This fucking stunned the courtroom audiences as the verdict was read off. Like, Jeremy Cook's parents were sobbing, and once the jury left, Sale was set free. He left with his mother. He didn't say anything to the media. And, he already spent 2 years awaiting his trial in police custody. His mom did talk, and she said they're staying in Calgary, but they're staying far, far away from that part of the area where the murder happened. Now, a lot of folk left the courthouse shaking their heads, and most with their heads down in shame. Jeremy Cook's father left emotional, crying, and he quickly walked with his daughter Kayla from the courthouse. And, it's a shitty verdict all around. The guy shot the kid over a fucking cell phone. But a few years later, Mr. Sale would actually once again soak up the spotlight. So after Sale's defense team kind of pinned the shooting on the man who drowned, he just had some free time, and over time he got into some shit. And London police raided about 5 London homes a few years later, and one vehicle. So they seized about 40 grams of cocaine, 7 grams of pot, some Oxycontin pills, a sawn-off shotgun with over about 100 rounds, and about $3,500 of cash. So charging 6 men and 1 woman. And this is about 28 drug and weapon-related charges. So among the ones arrested, one guy was Mohammed Sale, and he was now 27 years of age. So he was charged with drug possession and 3 counts of drug possession for the purpose of trafficking. Now, when he appeared in court for his latest charges, he pled not guilty to a lesser drug possession offense, and the other charges were withdrawn from court records. And it stated that he was given 2 years probation and fined $2,600. The justice system sure does suck sometimes. The poor kid died over a fucking cell phone. One died fleeing, and so, maybe that's a little justice in itself. But another guy's free, but for how long, right? If he chooses to keep going down this shitty path he's on, maybe he'll turn it around, maybe he won't. And I do really feel bad for Jerry's family having to go through all this shit. I wish them better days ahead. This is a senseless act that never should have happened, but here we are, right? And that's all I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little twisted tale. You stay safe, folks. Thanks for tuning back in. I really appreciate you guys. Take care.
This is Jeremy Cook, 18 years old, as you mentioned, and over the weekend, something happened to him that a lot of us can relate to. He left his cell phone in a taxi cab. So he used an app that's on most of our phones now, a tracking device. He went with a relative to a parking lot where the app sent him to. 3 men were in a car. He approached the car. 1 person left the car. The driver hit the gas, and that's when there was some kind of confrontation. Police still aren't clear exactly when Jeremy was killed, if he was hanging onto the driver's door, but shots were fired. By the time police got there, he was already dead. Here's more from Constable Ken Steeves.
Oftentimes what we find with murders or even violent offenses such as robberies or home invasions, most of the time the victim knows the offenders or vice versa, or there's some sort of connection. In this case here, there was no previous involvement with either of them, nor had Jeremy had any involvement with the London Police Service. Without getting into his personal life, I can certainly tell you from the police aspect, he had no involvement with us.
So police said they've got all their officers working the case. They did make an arrest, but released those people. They had no connection to the crime. So here's who they're looking for. 3 men between the ages of 18 and 21. They're described as black. One was wearing a white shirt with a black design. Another had short hair, wearing a black jacket or shirt and a fitted hat. The third one described as having a slim build and wearing a blue shirt and black hat.
And this is something that has stunned the community, would stun any community, and it's unleashed a lot of social media reaction. What are you seeing this morning?
Right. Lots of people talking about how he was such a positive person and on such a positive career path. He already owned his own business. We did reach out to his school board. He had graduated Catholic high school in Brampton, and they said yesterday prayers were read over the PA system and support is being offered to students, all of them feeling this loss very hard. His aunt taking to Twitter saying, "My heart aches for the senseless taking of my nephew's life. Jeremy Cook was a beautiful soul." Friends on Facebook posting memories. Here's a photo of Jeremy in grade 10 saying, his friend saying, "I miss this guy. You were the happiest guy in the world." And finally, a group that he was a member of says today they will be dedicating classes in the memory of Jeremy Cook. And this is key here, asking anyone with information to contact London police because we know the search is still on for the suspect.
Twisted Tales.